Welcome back to another episode of Talks with Wine, guys. I am your host, Marley.
Oh, I'm Tam.
I'm Jenny.
And if you are new to our channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Click the notification bell. Let you know when we on air or when we premiere. And follow us on social media at Talks with Wine. We are available on your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter, and then we in your ear on your Spotify, your Google.
We got greens, beans,
And your
potatoes,
iTunes.
tomatoes,
All
lamb, chicken,
Okay.
you name it.
All right, and I do want us to start off with our newly added quick segment, our quick icebreaker, I guess.
Okay.
Our gratitude check-in.
Okay.
So it's the one thing you're grateful for the week. I will start.
I don't know what we're doing.
I can see y'all looking at me. I'm looking at the
You're
camera.
changing things. Go ahead.
So the one thing I am grateful for is laughter. Like I think that y'all see me on here. I'm real giggly. I like to, I like to stay young that way. So I'm grateful that I get to laugh with my coworkers in my creative space and in my career space.
I like that.
Because life be getting you. I gotta laugh.
Life be doing. Life be lifing. I'll go. I'll say my gratitude of the week is feeling safe. Like, despite that there's a lot of stuff going on outside and it's real ghetto, I feel safe in the sense that I feel grounded. I feel safe with where I'm going, who I am, who I'm becoming, and I feel safe in my friendships and my relationships that I have. I feel really safe, and I'm grateful for that.
Those are good.
Okay.
Wow, those are good.
Okay.
I would say, along with those, because I am grateful for those two things, laughter and being safe, I would say comfort, and part of that comfort is like being in my own space. And I would say a big part of comfort is sleep. I'm grateful for sleep.
Some rest.
Now
Yes,
that's
that's it. That's the one.
I'm
That is
grateful.
the one.
The best right after this.
I got throw the bonnet on.
Right, pull these curls into it. Like, you said, let me borrow that turban right there. Stuff that boy right in there.
Yes.
Yes. So this week's conversation is the importance of seeking therapy. I love how y'all just. And I know that a lot of people get a little caught up in what therapy is. And if you know me, I'm very big on mental health and therapy because personally, I feel like having to speak about my feelings forcefully.
I'm gonna say that. I almost went for the class.
It's a little tough, okay? So for me, I think the importance, right, or this came about because we're still in the panorama, Panic at the Disco, whatever you want to call it, Pacific of the Ocean,
Panasonic.
whoever. We're still here. And I think it's, while we think of it as like a airborne respiratory thing, I think it's a lot more mental too. And I think the amount of therapists and psychologists and those sorts, I think we're now watching that great demand, right? Because it's so, when the world does this to you, and I think before there was no means of, how we express ourselves or what we do when all these feelings come about, right? But now we're in this space where it's like, you're home. You can't go outside. Inflation's happening. Kids, you gotta homeschool, they driving you crazy. Everything is happening at once and people are getting sick and things are happening left and right. I think that more so is an attack of your mental space, right? Rather than, being 6 feet, I think.
I think this episode, you can just call me Willow, because I'm about to,
And I want the episode to be a little less constrained, because I know we normally do questions, but I think I want us to I want us to more focus on the personal aspects of therapy. And not to say that everyone has had therapy or sure everyone is okay with therapy. But when we had the conversation, somebody said everyone should, at least try therapy at least once in their lives. And that's true. Somebody. And that's true. And I think being, pretty sold on therapy, I think, taking that step back sometimes and saying that maybe they don't need therapy. Maybe they just need a different way of looking at things, right? So that's our setting for the night.
Okay.
All right. And one of the things that we should be focused on is the last 2 years. Like, that's literally when this happened. 2020 hit and everything just went crazy, uproar. Everybody fight for toilet paper and just madness. I don't even understand. That gets me to this day.
It was like Black Friday on repeat. You know what I'm saying?
Constantly. And
What's going on?
Black Friday grocery store edition. Like
grocery store, gas station, everything.
Right.
Like everyone was in such a panic. Hospitals, like I was still kind of like shifting out of the health field in that moment. So just watching like everything happen was crazy. So in reflection for the last 2 years, what have we seen? Like how do we feel right now after seeing all that madness happen and to where we are now?
I'll start. I feel like, and I think I've said this, maybe not on an episode, but amongst friends, when the whole Panic at the Disco started, it gave me a sense of, like, I wasn't grateful of what was going on, but I was grateful for that slowdown. I was grateful for that hard, it's like someone hit a hard reset or a hard stop button, and everyone had to really look at themselves. Everyone had to stop. Ideally, you were getting a chance to be with yourself. You were in your home, you were with other people, but you really got a chance to, whether you wanted to or not. The veil was lifting, things were happening. You had to really look at yourself. So I think for me, in these last 2 years, it's given me a chance to, it's piggybacking off of my gratitude. It's given me a chance to actually feel safe. In the midst of like madness going on, it gave me a chance to know what it feels like to actually ground myself, to be able to process my feelings thoroughly, to have better conversations, more in-depth conversations with myself, and be real with what's happening, where I stand with things, where I want to be, what I won't accept, what I don't, you know what I mean? Like things that just gave me a chance to really like put a hard stamp on my boundaries. And that's what it really looked like for me, and that's what it still looks like for me. And it's given me like almost like a lightheartedness. It's like really getting out of that notion of being worried about what people think about your opinions or what people think of you, like really releasing myself from all of that and just being like, a lot of that stuff is perception. A lot of that stuff is perspective, and people are going to perspect and project and expect, you know what I mean? But you don't have to fulfill any of that. If you don't have to serve any of that, because you need to serve yourself first, and you need to figure out what really works for you first. And so I haven't personally been to therapy in a very long time. I've experienced therapy at a younger age due to like family conflict and things that my mom felt would be important for me to speak to a therapist because of what was happening. I looked up therapeutic tools, and I think that that's important to highlight too, that if you are not in a place where you don't think you're ready yet, or you maybe are struggling with that line of like, I kind of still want to work through some things on myself, but I know I may need it. There's a lot of free therapeutic tools out there. There's a lot of writing prompts out there. There's a lot of thought-provoking cards or conversation pieces that you can have with yourself, so that you can kind of
For free.
For the freeze. What Joe Byron said, Google it.
Joe Byron?
Joe Byron said Google it. He told us to Google something else, which was crazy. But he said Google it. Google is accessible, you know what I mean? And piggybacking off of the social media, it seems like everyone has access to it. There are therapists on social media that are giving free prompts. So
Clubhouse.
follow a few, you know what I'm saying? There are lots of spaces that are trying to I think that happened too. Like, people are trying to cultivate spaces where if you can't get it, like, well, let's help one another, because you can't be the only one feeling this way. So let's get together and figure out like how ways we can work through those things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the last 2 years have looked like for me. Putting on my little therapist hat for myself and for others around me who feel comfortable to confide in me, who feel comfortable to be transparent with me, and vice versa.
And I do agree that these 2 years have been very traumatic, especially with a lot, even from before the past 2 years. Like, you know, people were facing a lot. People were being deported. People were losing homes. They watching family members, you know, people, George Floyd, you know, just so much that we have endured. You need therapy. And honestly, I feel like therapy should be free, because why my mental health is, people need comfort, people need healing, people are hurting. People are hurting. You know, the suicide rate went up. People were stranded at home, and not everyone has the luxury or the blessings, like you said, to be able to be in their own space, which I definitely agree. I was in that spiritual, I mean, align my chakras, doing all that, but not everybody had that.
Right.
But listen, so you have given people just a little bit of, breadcrumbing? That's what it's called? And then took it back. So now people are traumatically scarred.
Or was that Joe Byron?
I think that was
Both of them.
America. That was the
She
Cheeto
said
bomb.
America.
America as a whole. Whatever this is America. Because at the end of the day,
I'm gonna just sit like this for that.
at the end of the day, people are trying to process, like you said, what is happening
Right.
with this world.
And leadership makes a difference.
Exactly.
What you say makes a difference.
Exactly.
Words mean things.
Exactly. Promises that were never kept.
Oh.
Joe, we're still paying student loans. You lied.
Oh, and by least you must mean her.
I haven't paid anything.
A dime.
Years.
But you know, but you know,
Don't take legal advice
Please
or
don't take
financial
no
advice from
financial.
Those are just the opinions of 3 black women drinking wine.
on a Sunday.
Disclaimer.
But you know what, people are
Allegedly.
allegedly they're trying to process, and that's the thing. Therapy helps you to process.
Yeah.
People have faced so much in their own personal lives, and then added stressors to this from this ghetto world.
No, stressor. That's stress and pressure.
and added that onto this life. You're trying to process, you're trying to function, you're trying to feed your family, you're trying to grow. We're not going. We're trying to grow. We're trying to adapt. All while you're human and having this experience, and you don't like this experience, so you have to process. Therapy is to help you process, to grow, to heal, to recover.
And it's also okay if you started and you stopped and you started again and you stopped. If you have to go through, listen, and y'all gonna be mad at me. You go through women and men till you find your right fit. Why you can't do that with your therapist?
Meow. In a sense, just dating is what she meant. Because
I said what I
when
said.
you said go for
I said what I said.
Okay.
I said what I said. I said exactly what I said.
Alright.
I'm just saying, if you can make the time for that, you make time for yourself.
Being that,
That's right. Pop that. Pop it.
being that I advocate for therapy, I think the last 2 years for me, I think I've gone through a lot of changes. Because not just political, I honestly don't feel like politics affect me. Because, and I know, you know, if y'all want to revert
That's an
back to
unpopular
Yeah.
opinion because
and I mean personally, I'm going to
Yeah.
say me personally. I don't need the generalization.
right, because it's not like I don't see what's going on. I see it, but
I just don't feel like it affects me in the sense of I have to panic and worry and think and
like
I don't want to do all that.
I'm a firm believer in you really are in control of your emotions. You are in control of what really affects you. You can see what's going on around you, and you can decide what you want to take in and what you don't want to take in.
And that's
Yes.
where therapy can help you.
Because there's only so much things that you can control, and that's why I think it's important not to be affected. Like it it is true that political. I'm sorry, I just jumped.
You
right in.
really?
I'm so sorry.
I'm calling my therapist.
I had a friend that just keeps no, because when you said that, because a lot of people, when you say stuff like that, they're like, "How can you not be? Because you live in America too." I know
do.
that. I know
do,
that.
but
I'm fully aware of that.
If we're being very honest, the only reason why I feel like American issues don't affect me is because the shit that's going on in my home country affects me way more than fucking what's going on here. Because at the end of the day, when America says they're gonna kick me out, they're gonna kick me out to a place where I used to call home that I don't even probably recognize anymore. Wow. So that's why I feel like American issues don't affect me. So if y'all want to attack me for that, go right ahead. But
No.
I just don't feel like I'm affected by some of the issues that are happening because if I call home, certain things are just way more sensitive or more timely than, and I don't want to sound insensitive because I live here, I live here and I have to deal with these things rather than, hearing about it. But the last couple years, I've gone through many of changes. So I've gone from certain jobs and working from home and relationships and then not relationships and working from home. Like, those changes, but those changes in a space where I'm confined, where I don't have access to everything, where I have to be limited and restricted, that plays into my mental health. And it's like, I'm gonna call my therapist after that.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
But like developing that relationship.
My Talkspace account.
Yeah. Even if it's not calling my therapist because hey, I don't always have that copay for you, sis. I'm sorry.
Right.
I gotta wait. So I have to take it upon myself, like Tamara said, to find a different tool, right? To jump on like Instagram and I know I use social media for a lot of things, and I don't know why, but like I use social media to kind of like direct me in certain spaces because, because it is what it is.
And that's the new accessibility.
It is what it is. Like I don't have to wait. The library is closed. I don't have to go to the library and find a book on how to navigate aggression or how to navigate through dealing with my goddamn family.
Because it's on Audible.
It's on Audible, but if I don't want to pay $10 to Amazon for Audible because I'm already paying for stars, I'ma just find a free way.
Right.
So just having that that extra tool.
PDF.
Just having a different tool to be able to kind of see things in a different space, and then being able to connect with my therapist and be like, okay, maybe it's the Virgo in me because I go to my therapist and I'd be like, all right, so this is what happened and I think this is what it was. I have to do that for myself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I have to be able to pick apart my emotions from what's facts, from what's not just feelings. And that's something that therapy has taught me because in my childhood, I wasn't able to. Like I wasn't able to depict my emotions from what's facts. I wasn't able to depict when I'm being gaslighted or not. I wasn't able to even recognize these things because they were comfortable. So having someone who is a professional to help me address these things, because one of the things that therapy did help me, even in the beginning of the pandemic, right when it started, I literally quit a job because I felt like that job was not, it just stressed me out to the point where I felt like I was being belittled. And I didn't understand that. And then quite oddly enough, it pointed back to a piece of my childhood. And so I had to address that. I had to go back to work with that and address it. So maybe
I'm sorry, are you offering therapy on this episode or are you talking about this? It's
go
just
to therapy.
You're hitting the points.
But that's what my last 2 years has been.
Okay.
That's what my last 2 years has been. It has been. I had to leave social media for 4 months because I was triggered by every piece of information that came at me. Like everything that was happening in the world, whether people were, and we had a lot of it, where people were suicidal, where people were like having mental breakdowns.
People that look like me and you were being slaughtered on national television and then being told that
to get over
it's no problem. You know what I'm saying?
Those are things that weigh so heavily on us, and we as Black people sadly have like gotten to the point where we're so strong we think it's just gonna go away. And it doesn't, because we now see that.
And I feel like we've reached the cap of uninadvertently being desensitized because it's like, well, we know ain't nothing gonna happen. We're seeing, trials are coming about, but what is the verdict? What is the sentencing? What does that look like? What are the little pieces of justice looking like for us? Very, very minuscule.
And those are pivotal moments because they could not, going back to this George Floyd thing, not this thing, but the situation.
Yeah.
It was not able to be denied because it was on camera.
Nope.
Fully. And the thing that was,
And
that was like,
they've done that to us before.
Yeah,
Right.
no, and pass it under.
right.
But it was
But when
recorded.
everyone is at home,
Seeing it.
everyone is now
And
feeling
everyone,
it.
right. And honestly, I resonate with you about in the midst of quitting a job because before the George Floyd incident happened, I don't say incident because I didn't write either because it blatantly happened, but the George Floyd situation happened and my CEO took a god-awful attempt at addressing that to a company of people that do not look like me and a very small percentage of people who did look like me. And I had no one to confide in. I had no one to, and not that I ever look to my coworkers to confide in anyways, because you know what you're getting.
But if you're gonna bring it to me,
You know what I mean? But like the way that companies try to roll out the importance of now getting diversity divisions, of now getting inclusivity divisions, led up by people that still don't look like us.
And I wonder, is this a guilt thing? Or
Yeah,
is this
hell
a
yeah.
realization?
Hell yeah.
operates off of guilt because guilt is something that
You tell me it's a
that comes and
realization.
goes.
Yeah, like you tell me it's a realization. I'm gonna tell you full of what makes the grass grow green, and I don't believe you anyways. So and that's just how I feel. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just how I feel. Oh,
Well, I think
we don't have a refill person yet.
we're supposed to be off tonight. We had a line on the but he off tonight.
I'm gonna do it myself now.
I think one of the major things about, just therapy in itself is I don't know who else has been through therapy. I've had to go through therapy in different time frames in my life.
Yeah.
When I was younger in middle school, I was forced to talk to a therapist due to family situations.
Yep.
And then moving into high school, I had to talk to a therapist based on personal situations. Then I had to figure out what the hell my life looks like because I had no sense of direction from the core that I had to be like, you know what, someone has to tell me what the fuck I'm doing. So going to a therapist for me was like, one, you have to be able to really resonate with what the hell I'm saying. And two, it was just a matter of, I don't know what this is supposed to be like,
Right.
but I need someone to tell me what the proper way to deal with this is. Because my girls told me to shoot 'em up, bang, bang. but not these girls. Not these girls. At the time,
We did.
at the time, they knew my aim was good, and they told me to do what I had to. But I spoke to my therapist, and she
you
was
used
like,
your tools.
she was like, girl, I get it.
That's
You
right.
wanna run people over. I get it.
And that's frowned upon.
But how about next time someone does that, we just name things around us that can calm us down. And I told her that didn't work. So then she gave me another tool, and I was like, okay, fine, that worked.
Okay.
So someone who can lead me away from needing the bail money we set aside helps.
And I want to say also, because I think that the elephant in the room is that the most culture that gets the backlash for finally, the culture that's finally coming out from underneath the rock to seek therapy is us. It is white people. And it's very hard. I'm finding it to be generations before us not feeling that comfort, and I'm very grateful to be where I am because I think our generation is in the middle of the old generation and the new generation. The new generation is down for therapy. The old generation, there are some that are coming into their own right and recognizing damn, you know what, I couldn't pray it away.
Yeah.
And I do need, and I just want to say that tool is hand in hand. I don't think it has to just be I don't know where it got to the place where feeling like seeking therapy was I won't say demonic, but it was like, it's frowned upon, you know what I'm saying? It's like, why you going to tell people your business? Like, it's not just your business. It's not just that.
I agree, and I definitely agree with that, because I often told people from church culture family, if you call God a mighty counselor, why wouldn't he give somebody the gift of counseling?
Wow.
So to say
And
that,
that's
all y'all need. Because
good night.
hello.
So like, why wouldn't God give you the resource?
Hello? I don't know where my phone's at. Hello.
The greatest resource God can give you are people, and sometimes people have those gifts that
his image.
exactly.
At that, ain't that something?
Exactly. So to over spiritualize things and say, oh, well, you want someone to fix your problems. Technically, I do, but if someone can help me to process these problems,
Because he said you gotta do the work too.
because faith without
And
works
the work
is dead.
and the work includes going and seeking out.
Exactly.
Someone help.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you inferior. It doesn't make you. It doesn't make you anything. It makes you
just
stronger.
makes you human.
It makes you accountable.
And you have to be aware that you have a problem. And I think that was hard for people. They wasn't trying to own up that there was something wrong.
It was a bad thing for there to be a disconnect with your emotions and things like that. But it's like there's a lot of stuff that has been weighted onto us that it's time to take it off.
I
It's time.
I honestly feel like Black people, if not reparations, can we get some fucking therapy?
All right.
For free.
For free.
That's gonna be
Because
done.
at the end of the day, I think
It's
that
done, y'all. It's done.
with us being the most marginalized, the most attacked,
But the most looked at, the most spectacled, the most copied.
under microscope, people
How can we be the
For
best
us-
and the worst at the same damn time?
how
We're great.
It's the damned if I do, damned if I don't.
Because part of our culture says, no, you don't need to talk to nobody. You don't need to talk to God. But then the other part of the culture is like, oh, you talk too much. Right?
You need to keep it to yourself.
And that's
You
the
need to mind your
problem.
business.
Because we don't understand what it is that needs to be resolved.
And then you have people suffering suffering in silence.
And
And projecting.
projecting, because
And
I know
carrying that.
a lot of our aunties and uncles and moms and dads, they project a lot onto us that we now realize what it is.
Okay.
Because we're now realizing that, hey, I know you must have had a terrible childhood if this is what my childhood looks like. It's a repetitive cycle. It's just, we're now acknowledging these things because
We're breaking cycles.
we're definitely breaking the cycle, because it's like therapy is the tool that helps us understand, that helps us get from point A to point B, because therapy is the same thing that Catholic people do when they go sit in the confessional. Except you don't have to pay for it. Except it's more religion based. And the thing with that is just, you can go to a priest, let him know that you killed somebody yesterday, and he don't gotta tell nobody. But he'll help you. He'll tell you that you're wrong, you're forgiven. This is what you need to do. Not how to hack about you. Go ahead. That's a different person you gotta see. But the thing is that we're not understanding that the main tool being utilized of therapy is seeking out a professional who can guide you. That is what therapy is. Because your friends, you surround yourself with the same vibration, like you attract the same type of people.
And sometimes you don't.
And sometimes you don't, right?
And sometimes you don't recognize that you don't, which is why you need the damn therapy.
Which is why you need a therapy, because if you're constantly attracting negative and toxic people, that's something that you have to fix. And we don't like to hear it, and I think it's a matter of being generalized that we don't like, all right, I'm not this way, but you are. If you keep looking, you will find that a lot of us have the same similar traits. Why? Because we are all a product of the same trauma. We're all a part of the same trauma, and that trauma it had its own branches, it had its own pieces when we were slaves. And y'all know I like to bring that back in there.
Yeah, we know.
When we were slaves.
This is why my glass magically refilled.
Because it's like we don't understand where that stuff comes from, and we don't understand what we mean by breaking generational curses. Because just because your mom doesn't do it doesn't mean your auntie doesn't do it. Doesn't mean somebody is not experiencing these traumas, these effects in a different light.
And just because I want to say that it's also important for the younger generation or for us to be able to circle back with our older heads and be like, hey, it's okay.
Well,
Because
they
you know
wanna hear it or
why?
not.
You know why? Because I don't think they got to hear that.
Yeah.
And I'm learning about parenting my parent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning that as I am a parent. I'm learning what it looks like when I'm the one that released the trauma. I'm the one that got the ability to maneuver through things and process things, and what it looks like for my parent to still be struggling with that in real time.
Oh yeah.
And giving them that space and that opportunity to say, have you considered talking to someone else about this that can help you through that?
Yeah.
And that it's okay.
And it's hard for them because
It
it's
is
stigmatized. It's still that.
It is.
You know, it's
And
still that
because
feeling.
that's just the era, the genre that they grew up in. But I think it's really important to be able to even vocalize that and say that. And it took listen, we're not gonna get into relationships, but I know for me, I literally had to say to some family members like, you know, you're reaching a point where I don't think I can associate with you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Or I've just decided, I won't vocalize it sometimes with Virgo. I'm gonna just leave.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I also understand the importance of protecting my space, protecting my mind, protecting myself, and releasing myself. And releasing yourself sometimes can mean releasing yourself from people. And I know that sounds so crazy. And I know it sounds because people get attached and they think that they owe people
And
things.
that's a problem.
They think that they have to have to hold back from living or doing things because you owe someone. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
This is your human experience. You are in charge of your reality. You are in charge of your human experience.
Mm-hmm.
You're very much in charge of that. So if you're going to be, please let it be the best one that you can. And if it includes therapy, or if it includes therapeutic prompts, or if it includes you trying to sort that out however it looks, be okay with that. Because that's your journey. And if you let other people write your story for you, it's going to be convoluted and it's going to be real jacked up.
Come on.
And that's the important thing, because you want to have people who are non-biased in your life. Because like I said, my girls will support whatever madness that I come up with.
No, they won't. I don't. I'm gonna be real clear. No, they don't.
Okay,
No,
maybe my friends before.
I'm like, no. No, let's be very clear. I have gotten
Maybe
phone
my other
calls.
friends.
Y'all, tidbit. I
ain't gonna tell my story.
I'm not. No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not doing that.
Thank you.
Virgo.
Wait a minute, you ain't gonna tell me.
I was just gonna say we've been friends for a decade, and there have been phone calls where I go, "No, why the hell would you think that I would let you do that? Why the hell do you think that's okay?"
Because I thought it was fine. I felt
And
it.
everybody grows. Everybody grows. I'm just
And that's-
saying.
Growth.
Yeah.
And
All
that's
right.
the good part. Therapy will help you grow. It will help you grow and overcome. You might not get over the things that you've been through, because there are some things that people have been through that's not gonna get over, but you can
It's
be
gonna take a
able to.
long time.
Yeah.
But you'll be able
But
to learn how to
acknowledging.
live through it and work through it.
Exactly.
And acknowledge your traumas, acknowledge your
Your
triggers.
Exactly.
Acknowledging red flags too, because triggers, red flags, all of it.
Oh,
All right, well, that has been a lovely episode.
In friendships and relationships, because
That has been a lovely episode.
dealing with people. Dealing with people. All right.
Situation.
But
this was
like
really
I said, even just going back to the tidbit from my job, like realizing that certain conflict that I was having was just based off of a mother-daughter relationship.
Some of it was internal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like,
Whew.
oh,
Mm.
okay,
Mm.
all right.
Like,
I
see
dealt
why
with
I
it.
was triggered.
Yeah, I was like, I know. Have you dealt with a Haitian Leo woman before?
All right.
Has
And
that
on
ever-
that episode,
have you
Toxic
ever-
One,
have you
thank
ever
so much
survived?
for joining us.
Have you survived?
She's here. Have you ever?
I'm here. 'Cause I'm in therapy. Okay. No, just recognizing those little pieces that are everyday things, like everyday pieces of your life that you may not have recognized, you may not have, dealt with, acknowledged is major. And to have someone point that out to you and to be comfortable enough giving your money to someone to point that
Or
out
your
to you.
health, or your health insurance, you know what I'm saying? Like, because you
Copay
can,
is a
because
copay.
don't forget to look through it. If you have insurance, if you have the means to do so, look through those things.
Yes.
And if you want to sit with
Behavioral
someone
health
who looks like
is
you,
the, 'cause
take
I've
a
done
little bit of
insurance.
time. If y'all can Google who died and where to get shoes from and all that stuff, you can Google someone that's a therapist and that's going to help you. And I also want to include that you shouldn't, y'all gonna hate this, you shouldn't solely just rely on your therapist. It's important for you
I was about to say.
No, I was just gonna say little steps before you even get to therapy, because sometimes it takes a little bit to get matched up. So little steps before you get, affirm yourself. Take little moments to stop in the middle of the day, say some mantras, say some affirmations to yourself. Write your words out. Write out how you're feeling. Use your journal. Get a notebook.
You know what?
Look at yourself in the mirror and talk to yourself.
Here's one thing, because I struggle with journaling, but that's because I'm a creative in a different space.
But listen, journaling don't just mean handwriting. You can type it out too. You can whatever it means to you.
But my therapist has allowed me to record, because y'all know me, I like to record myself. Okay?
But that's fine.
So when I'm having certain type of days, I will, vent to the camera. I'll post it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm feeling.
And that's okay.
But that's just another means. We have to be able to utilize these tools and the things that we let consume us, social media and our phones, to help us get to our better selves.
You get to use these prompts prior to. You get to use these prompts in between. And it's important that you know the tools, you look them up, you get familiar with them, you get comfortable with yourself, you get comfortable with addressing yourself. There's nothing wrong with saying, I need help. And Virgo. That's a very,
we're all Virgos.
you know what I mean? Boom, boom, bang. It's very complicated, but there really is. You have to let your guard down with yourself. If you can't do it, because if you can't do it with yourself, you're not going to be able to do it with anybody else. And if you can't pour into yourself, if you can't identify those things for yourself, you're going to have a hard time really being able to foster healthy relationships, foster healthy friendships, decipher, is this good for me, is this bad for me? It's okay. And if nobody tells you this, it's okay. For real, it's okay. It really is okay. And you deserve to process that. You deserve to be able to sit down.
You deserve to be at peace.
And you are worthy.
Can you please get out my head?
You are worthy at all times. You are worthy at all times. It's very important.
No matter what you've been through.
No matter what you look like, no matter what you think you need
no matter
to
what
have,
has been said to you.
No matter what's been said to you, you are adequate, you are important, you are worthy.
And you got this.
At all times.
Okay. So don't let therapy, make you feel any sorts of way if you have to reach out. If you spend your time reaching out to therapists.
Don't think of the stigma of just being
don't think about that.
client on a couch. It's beyond that.
Make it regular conversation, because it is. Because I've heard my white counterparts casually talk about therapy. And that's how we should do. Because everyone's going through something. So just it's important, especially right now, especially understanding where we are and where we've come from and the things that we're constantly being fed and consuming.
And where you want to be.
Like, it's 2022. Like,
come on.
Forget all that. Forget all that. People gonna talk about you crazy, all that. We all crazy.
They don't even have to know.
We're all crazy.
Right.
And they don't have to know, because that's a
your
violation
business.
of your HIPAA.
Right.
HIPAA laws. Okay?
I was going to say, that's your business.
No,
Listen, leave your hippos out of this.
No. Because your therapist is not allowed to say nothing unless it's, harmful to yourself or someone else. So be comfortable. Don't lie to your therapist. Don't try to.
Because you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, because you can't get to the root of the problem if you're not facing the problem, if you're not properly addressing the problem. So be honest with your therapist. Be honest with yourself. And just
take your time.
Aim for being at peace, because we don't have to tell you. If you're not at peace, you can't sleep at night. You know that.
You know that. That's why you have no crazy dreams. And you know it.
And that's what's important of, talking to a professional and getting that help. But y'all knew y'all.
This was good, y'all. This was good. This is passion.
I'm gonna call my therapist after this, like I said.
Don't forget your affirmations, talk space. There's other outlets that you can use. There's a lot of, please look into them. Social media is a gift and a curse, but there are some places where you can really get into forums. You can really get into spaces where you can't afford it. There really are therapeutic prompts. There are people that are in therapy that want to help you.
Yes.
They really do.
Yes.
And I will say, just that if you are contemplating anything that is dangerous to yourself, remember you are not. Speaking to the people for suicide, I'm going to be very honest. It's not that you want to die, it's because you want to stop hurting.
Yeah.
Therapy can help, and it's okay to say, I need help.
It really is.
And you might not always know what to say or how to say it, but sometimes you just might need to cry. and
let
you
it
need
out.
someone to be there.
All right.
So,
Just stop being.
That's too
Listen,
close for home.
I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you. Yes, I'm gonna wrap it up because I need us to stop being strong
mm,
It's
for
a-
2022.
Ooh.
Someone said that
Let me
to me.
just-
Someone said that to me the other day, and I have to think about it. I've been
Let your
strong.
wine be strong.
That's the only thing you need. I've been strong my whole life. Okay,
Mm.
I'm ready to be soft. I'm ready to be vulnerable. I'm ready to be a
Ooh.
crybaby. I'm ready to do all that
Ooh.
because I've held it. As black people, we've held it on. We've had the game face, the poker face, whatever face you want to call it. We've been strong long enough.
That's all
Let it
right.
out. Just because if we keep harboring on these emotions turn into resentment and bitter. We don't need that. We're trying to flourish. We're trying to be great. We're trying to have fun.
You
I'm trying to be.
water.
I'm trying to be Bobby in
You
this
deserve.
bitch.
You deserve water.
Happy.
Happiness. You deserve
You
safety.
deserve it.
You deserve freedom. You deserve
So,
it.
if you are not currently seeking therapy, I know it's hard because there's not a lot of black therapists right now, but continue.
And there's some good of others.
Yeah.
And who you connect with is who you connect with.
And don't limit yourself. Try out therapists. Like just date some therapists because you want to know who
As I said
understands
what I
you,
said
who
earlier, and I
meets
meant
your
it.
needs, who can fulfill what it is that you're trying to fulfill. So if you are seeking therapy, I would say those are tips and tools to use because that's what you need to be looking at. Don't think about the other shit that comes with it, sounding crazy, whatever. Just go and fix yourself, fix your life. Do it for your future generations, your
Yeah.
kids, whoever.
Yeah.
But mostly do it for yourself because there's no reason why any of us need to be living in hell
Because you
in
matter.
our own bodies.
You matter.
You matter.
All right.
Right?
Ooh.
I love you guys.
Right.
This
We
was
love
a-
you. We love
this was
y'all.
a lot. This was a
Right.
lot.
No,
for
we
an
love y'all.
episode.
That was good. We love
But,
y'all. Thank you.
You know, it is something that we need to focus on in the beginning of the year. So I might do a check-in
Okay.
in a few months. But thank you guys for joining us on this lovely episode of Toxic Wine.
And do not forget to follow us for more conversations.
Yes.
All across the board at Talks with Wine for everything. For YouTube, Spotify, Shopify. No, I'm just joking. Maybe. Not yet.
I'll let y'all know.
Patreon, Twitter,
Mhm.
Instagram, Facebook, at Talks with Wine. Go on. We're gonna
Period.
get a Talkspace code.
Maybe. Talk space us up.
All right, and you're worthy. Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.